Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. If you find yourself wondering whether or not you're in a healthy relationship, our next guest has simple questions you can ask yourself for a little more clarity. We welcome back trauma-informed life coach and author of the soon-to-be-released 365 Happy Bedtime Mantras, Shannon Kaiser. It's so great to see you.
It's great to be back. What a good topic. Important for us all.
For sure, and things you can just kind of ask yourself at your leisure, maybe when you have a little bit of alone time. This first one is kind of a doozy though. Okay, question number one. Do I keep hoping the person will finally change so we'll both be happy?
Ooh, yeah, this is an important one. I started with the heavy hitter first because the number one question I get asked in my life coaching is actually, do they know that they're doing this? I feel like I'm being mistreated, or sometimes you don't recognize if you're being mistreated or unfair. It's not a reciprocal relationship. And the question really, I guess it sometimes matters, but it doesn't really matter if they know or not. Sometimes the more important question we can ask is, if this didn't change, would I be okay? So visit yourself a year from now, 5 years from now. If the behavior that they're doing is really causing you to sacrifice yourself, or you're waiting to be happy, then it might not be as healthy of a dynamic. And, there's lots of resources that you can do, journal, therapy, really talk to them and see if they can meet you halfway. But this is an important question to start with.
Absolutely. Okay, the next one is, does the relationship feel like an emotional roller coaster? And that can feel kind of scary and insecure, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if we're familiar with attachment styles, there's different attachment styles, anxious attachment, avoidant. But what we're really talking about here is some people thrive on drama. They absolutely love the highs and lows and the makeup, breakup, the threatening to leave and come back. And it's often because that's all they've learned. That's all they saw growing up. They're a very toxic, highly charged household. So they equate love to volatile kind of push-pull. What we're looking at here is your central nervous system cannot relax and it doesn't feel safe. Real, true, healthy love is about safety and knowing that you are secure. And so we each have to do our own work to recognize, what did I grow up with? What do I think love is? And if it's this constant up and down, it's actually more of a trauma bond than it is healthy love.
That makes sense. And when it sounds really exhausting when you kind of take a minute and think about what you're really putting your mind and your body through in that situation. Okay, here's the next one. Are you sacrificing your authenticity or losing parts of yourself just to keep the peace? I bet a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, especially people pleasers and overgivers, people who really want, I'm okay if you're okay. That was me for so many years. I wanted to make sure everyone else was okay. But at the end of it, I was constantly chipping away at my own needs. I wasn't respecting my own boundaries. And it was because I cared so much about the other person. But we have to make sure that we care about ourselves and we practice self-love in our relationships. And if you're sacrificing yourself, or you're the only one making compromises, it's not as healthy of a dynamic as it could be.
Okay, this next one is another just head-on topic here. Do I feel lonely in this relationship? Oh my gosh, that can be really hard to admit.
It is. I'm only smiling because we're going so heavy and hard here because it's Valentine's month and you just had the Bachelor segment. This is important to think about. So
we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get to the tough stuff right away.
We are. We want to heal. And so having to ask yourself, for many years I was involved with people who were emotionally unavailable, and it was this push-pull, and I felt so lonely, and I cared about them, and we had love for each other, but the loneliness. And what you want to look at is, this isn't about filling yourself up with the other person. It's not about a codependency lonely. It's, do I feel seen and heard? Do I feel like they respect my needs? Do I feel like I can bring something to them and they will hear me and hold space? That's what we're talking about. Because if the person is completely shut off, stonewalls you, disappears, goes and cheats, then that is not a healthy relationship.
We have just a couple minutes left, so we'll see if we can get to a couple of more of these questions. Here's the next one. Since starting the relationship, do you have more anxiety, depression, or insomnia? I mean, those are really great markers to check in with yourself.
Yeah, now there's a lot of things that happen in our life. You could lose a job or something else, but if your relationship is causing a lot of stress and your mental health is actually degrading, it's an important thing to look at. What you can really ask yourself is do I feel connected to this person? Are we leaning in, or do we lean out during conflict? And you can recognize, and that leads us to probably the most important tip of all. If people walk away with one thing, it's to ask, does my partner take accountability? If you're with someone who refuses to come in and with a meaningful apology or to see their side of the street, or can they check their ego and pride at the door and meet you in a loving way, or is it all about them all the time? These are really important things to look at in order for you to cultivate healthier relationships where you're both growing together, not apart.
Yeah, apologizing, compromising, making those changes, it's hard for everybody, but if you kind of know your partner's not going to meet you halfway, that's a really tough thing to confront. We're going to have all of your questions on our website since we're out of time right now, but Shannon, thank you so much. It was so great to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Again, Shannon's upcoming book is 365 Happy Bedtime Mantras. It is available March 11th. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.